What is going on, y'all? Welcome back to your Lake Fork Guide. It's been a hot minute since we've been live. We really haven't had that much content for you guys lately. Where the hell have I been? We're going to talk about that tonight. Maybe I got lost. I don't know. I'm going to break down for you what's been going on while we haven't been putting out the content. And oh, yeah, you can ask me anything, as always, live right here on your Lake Fork Guide. Oh, yeah, I almost forgot. Get the brown in your cup. Hold them up. Cheers, y'all. Welcome. Yeah. Little Cody Johnson coming in tonight. Athens was a struggle last weekend. We're going to talk some. We can talk some about that too, man. The fishing's a little different now. We've made some adjustments. Catch some quality fish. If you follow your Lake Fork Guide on different platforms, you've seen us post. We posted a really big one a couple days ago. We can talk about the adjustment we've been making. It's changed a lot, for sure. Changed a lot. We're going to fade old Kojo out and get this thing going. Maybe we'll let that chorus hit one more time. One more time. Where have I been? I've been gone. Welcome to the show, folks. It's definitely some kind of a rodeo around here, I can tell you that. Who about that frog? We can talk about that a little bit. All right. Big shout out and thank you to Cody Johnson for opening the show for us tonight. I mean, listen, folks, where else are you going to go and get Cody Johnson opening up a bass fishing live stream just like that? I mean, listen, I'm just the best there is. I wake up in the morning and I piss excellence, you know? That statement's trademark, courtesy Ricky Bobby Inc. Yeah. Man, I've missed you guys. It's been, it has been a minute. So let's just go ahead and address that right off the bat. Before we do, I do want to do the normal thing that we always do. I'm probably going to stumble over my words tonight. It's been a while. I'm rusty at this, so you guys bear with me on that. But as always, thank each and every one of you for joining us. Got a pretty fair crowd starting to pile in here now. Thank each and every one of you guys for joining us. As always, man, do me a favor if you don't mind, if you enjoy these, or even if you don't, you just want to help the poor guy out because Lord knows I need all the help I can get, hit that thumbs up for me. Also, drop me a comment. Let me know who I'm talking to. Later in the live stream, ask some questions. Ask me anything, as always. And then, if you don't mind, the number one way you can help us out here at Your Lake Fork Guide is by sharing this thing. So, if you know how to share it, you're smarter than me because I wouldn't even know how to do it. Most of y'all are probably a lot smarter than me, though. So, go ahead and share this thing for me, and I will sure appreciate it. Cheers to you guys. Put the brown in your cup. Hold it up. Drink it down. Cheers, guys. Let's go. All right, let's say a few hellos and how you doing to the early risers in the chat room. We got Jim Krause, Barr, Blue Ball, Anthony Carbajal. Man, some of these guys I know Anthony and Barr, dude, I've been seeing you guys for years on here, and that's freaking awesome. Bass Fishing Mafia in the house, Michael Bear, Matthew Strange, Russell Stroman, what's up? Cody O'Brien, Rocky Shue, Jason Walden, Don Den, Big John, Ronnie Scott, Brad Lamar, Ron Foreman, Fishy, I don't even know how to say that name. Terry Connolly's in the house. Nathaniel Gay, Dusty Newton, Ronnie Green, John Hodson, John Sherritt, John Dendy, Gary Payne, Andy Alphabet, Junior Figueroa. Oh my goodness, there's so many of you guys piling in here making comments. Thank y'all. Thank y'all so very much. Where have I been? Did I get lost? Man, you know, I make my share of mistakes. There's no doubt. So some stuff I deserve, right? But like, there's a lot of other stuff that goes on here the last couple of years that's just like, man, I just can't catch a break. So I'm just gonna, you know, I always like to keep you guys honest, you know. And there's certain aspects of this that involve my children and stuff, so I can't really get into it. But man, the hits just keep on coming, guys. And I've had some stuff here the last couple of weeks. You know, I had some planned time away from the camera, away from the channel and stuff, like I always do at the end of summer before my kids go back to school. And that's just me spending time with my kids before they go back to school, kind of a little summer vacation. I do that every year. So that's nothing out of the ordinary. But I was trying to get the content back going again, and then, you know, just got hit right between the eyes with some stuff that is just hectic, crazy. I can't really go into details about it, unfortunately. I'm sorry about that. I know you guys like to keep up with what's going on, and y'all have, this is a pretty unique deal that we got here at Your Lake Fort Guide, when we actually genuinely care about each other. And you guys genuinely care about me, and I genuinely care about y'all. And it's not like a lot of the bigger social media platforms out there. Like, this is actually a community. There's a whole lot of people that are now my close personal friends that I've met through this. And whether I've met you or I haven't met you, we're all part of the same Your Lake Fort Guide Nation, baby. That makes us all family on some level. So I can't go into details about that stuff, like I said, but just trust me and know that I have had some crazy crap, just more. It's like it just hasn't stopped over the last couple of years. And every time I think I'm kind of moved past it, it just comes back. And it's here lately this year, it's like probably the worst it's been, man. It's been really tough. And then at times this year's been great. I got engaged to the princess this year, and you guys saw that at our July 4th event. We showed you guys, shared that with you guys on YouTube and Facebook and all that. And, that was awesome. It's one of the most amazing moments of my life. But along with those good things, man, there's just been more bad stuff. And I mean stuff that will stop you dead in your tracks and shut you down. And make things very difficult. So I've just been dealing with a lot of it, man. And on top of that, I'm juggling my guide business, and I'm juggling trying to be a good father to these two boys of mine, trying to be a good man to Miss Laney, and I'm involved with my kid's flag football team, and of course I try to help my older son now that he's playing junior high football. I'm trying to help him every way I can and be as involved with that as I can. And so it's just a lot, man. It's just a lot to handle all that. And then on top of that, the toughest part about it is when you get things happening to you that are just kicking you, let's be honest, kicking you right between the legs. I mean, it's like you got your legs straddled apart and you can't move them, and somebody just kicking you over and over again right between the legs. That's what it feels like when this stuff is happening. And emotionally, it is very, very, very difficult to make content when you're in that headspace. And I've tried to push through. In the past, I have pushed through and made the content anyway. And there's been plenty of times where I've made content that I wasn't necessarily that proud of, that I wished I wouldn't have made because of some of the headspace that I was in. There was things that I talked about and points of view that I had on certain topics that I could have had. I should have been better. I should have had a better example. I should have set a better example. And I just wasn't at my best. And so this time, I've kind of got it going this somewhere. It's like, man, I'm not saying I got to feel perfect to do my job. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But like when I'm really down and I'm in a negative headspace, I'm just not going to turn the camera on. Like, it's just not, it's not good for me. It's not good content for you guys. It's not as good. So I've just had to take some time to gather myself and deal with some of this stuff. And, it's still going on. It's not dealt with yet, but we're doing the best we can to get through it. We've kind of got it somewhat simmered down a little bit for now. And all I can tell you is I'm going to do the best I can. I'll do the best I can to get you guys content. I know we've got Sealy's coming up, so I've got some content coming for you guys on that. In fact, I'm going to go out, I don't know if the video will air Wednesday night, but I know for sure Wednesday afternoon, I've got some time slated to go film some on the water stuff and really break down on the water what we've been doing to catch fish to get you guys ready for Sealy the following weekend. Of course, we'll have, our top baits live stream and stuff like that leading up to Sealy's. We've also got a seminar. Seminars are going to come back this weekend, but pay attention. It's not going to be on Friday. Our seminar is going to be this Saturday, September 10th, I believe is the date. Let me make sure on that. September 10th, Saturday, 6 p.m. at Lake Fort Marina, free seminar. Everybody's welcome to come. So those will get back rolling. We're going to do one on the 10th. We're also going to do one on the 24th on Saturday. So for now, with my kids' football schedules and things like that they've got going on, I need to do the seminars on Saturdays. So we're going to get those back going real soon. We've also been working behind the scenes on building our own line of rods. I thought we were going to be ready to put those up for sale in the next day or two. We had a little snag today. I actually made a kind of a hint post at it then we hit a little snag. Not a big deal. Should just push us back about a week. Nothing with the rod itself. It's just with the aesthetics that you add, like the logos and stuff like that. That's all it was. It had nothing to do with the rod. The rods are actually built. We just got to put the finishing stuff on it, the logos and all that stuff, and then we'll be ready to roll. So we've got some really good rods, and I'm excited to tell you guys about 100% American-made blanks, assembled right here at Lake Fork, built custom one at a time. I mean, these ain't going to be your everyday rods that you buy from a big tackle company. These are going to be made for fishing the way we fish around here, for fishing the way I like to fish, from top to bottom, from finesse tactics to big swim baits and everything in between. We're going to have 6 different models to start with. We're going to have a customizing option where you can actually customize some of the colors of the rod and the logos and the wraps. You can kind of pick your own color, so you can pimp that rod out. May call that the Pimp My Rod instead of Pimp My Rod. Pimp My Rod version or option on the website. So that's coming too, so stay tuned for that. And yes, we are calling this series of rods the LGB series. Let's go, Basson or Brandon or whatever you want to call it, but at the end, you know what we're saying though. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. So we're proud of that. I'm really proud of the fact that we are going to be able to bring an all-American-made rod, a true American-made rod that is a very high-end rod that we're actually going to be able to retail for $250, which is extremely difficult to do. Look at some of the other American-made options out there and look at the price points that have actual American-made blanks. It is very difficult to get a rod at that price point. So we're going to try to do it. We're going to try it. We may go broke trying to do it, but we're going to try to do it. So that's just something else I've been dealing with behind the scenes that you guys haven't been aware of. What else? Let's see. Somebody alluded to fishing being tough on Athens. I'm sure the fishing stuff everywhere. You know, I've only been on Fork here the last couple weeks. You know, we had that big rain. Been about a couple weeks ago now. So it's like the lake came up 2 foot in one day. And I thought it would keep coming up some more after that. I think everybody kind of did. But then it didn't. It just came up 2 feet in one day, then it stopped, which was kind of odd. But what it did was pretty unique to the lake. It kind of put the fish, it made the fish behave like they were going through a turnover cycle without all the negative effects of the turnover cycle. So it made it tough in some ways, but not nearly as tough as it normally is during a turnover, which is really weird. It's very unique. I've never seen it quite happen quite like this. So let's go back to what happened. So 2 weeks ago, we get the big rain. The water temps are up in the mid to upper 80s. It's been hot. We get the big rain. We've also started having a little bit of cooler weather right before that. The days are getting shorter, so the sunlight, the heat is exposed to the lake for less and less hours every day. And so the water temps had started to trend down, but they were still in the mid to upper 80s. Then we had this big rain. The lake jumps 2 feet, and the lake water temperature dropped to around 80 degrees. I have seen it a couple times just under 80 at 79. Mostly I see it from like 80 to 82, maybe 83. But it's gotten down quite a bit temperature-wise. Well, usually when we get to that temperature, that range of temperature is about when we have a turnover coming out of summer going into fall. Now, I have seen no significant effects of turnover as far as water being discolored, bubbles on the surface, debris on the surface, bryozoan colonies. You guys, if you've seen the turnover before, you know you get a lot of junk on the surface, and you get a lot of nasty, dark brown, and bubbly, frothy looking water from the turnover process. I don't know if because of how much water came into the lake, it just kind of churned it all up and washed it out. Like, I don't know what happened, but that's kind of what seems like has happened. Like, we kind of skipped the turnover. But I do know this, with the water cooling coming out of summer going into fall, and then with the water rising, both of those things take fish from offshore, push them shallow, and scatter them. On top of that, we've got a little bit of cover that the water rose enough just to get in some of that flooded vegetation that grew up on the lake bed. in some areas. In a lot of areas, there's hardly any water. There's like inches of water on the flooded vegetation. But in some areas, there is 8, 10 inches, a foot of water on that vegetation, and fish are holding in it. Or holding near it on the edge, I should say. So all these, these factors have made the fish go into their turnover process, which when the lake normally turns over, most of the fish in the lake go to the bank and scatter. And they're just looking for oxygen. So they get really shallow trying to find where the waves are churning up and where the new water's flowing in when they get rain. And they're looking for oxygen because they're deprived of oxygen turnover. They're not deprived of oxygen in this situation. They got a ton of oxygen when all that new water came in the lake, that's for sure. And I'm sure it churned up the whole lake coming in that fast. 2 feet in one day is an incredible amount of water. So I'm sure the entire lake churned up and oxygenated pretty good. So they don't have the lack of oxygen, but they are getting shallow and have gotten shallow for the most part. When I graph offshore, I don't see bass. Every once in a while I'll see a couple. That's it. I don't see all the boats fishing offshore like we were. Like everybody's kind of figured it out. Like over the last 2 weeks, everybody's figured out them fish ain't out there no more. So I do believe that the majority of the fish in the lake are shallow right now. And when I say shallow, normally in a turnover situation, they would be dirt shallow. Right now, they tend to be from dirt shallow to 5 or 6 or 7 foot. And so for me, what seems to be working the best is the areas where I have 0 foot of water to 6 foot of water in as close a proximity as possible. And the way that I've been able to locate these fish is primarily 2 ways. Creek channel swings near banks, okay? So if I've got a creek channel swing, if I've got a bank line running like this, and a creek swings into it, right? Well, it's going to create that steep drop off right there by that bend. But these flats on the sides of the bend, so you got a bend right here. So this flat over here and this flat over here that are close to that, those fish can be scattered for a pretty good ways on either side of that, or right on the bend itself. Like that's the thing about right now. You don't just pull up to the creek bend and flip in there and catch 3 or 4 or 5. That's not what's happening. It's you pull up to that stretch leading up to the creek bend and you fish through all of it slow and methodical, okay? And you get a bite here and a bite there because they are shallow and spread out. Those fish went from deep, went to the bank, spread out. Now as time goes on, we get a couple more cool fronts or whatever, those fish will start to condense back up and condense on bait fish schools, and they will stay, a lot of those fish will stay shallow and follow those fish around in creeks and pockets throughout the fall. Some of those fish will pull back out to the main lake and group up throughout the fall. But for right now, we're basically in turnover conditions with fish that are in a better mood. They've got better oxygen, they're feeling better, and they're biting better than they usually do in turnover. So it's not that we're not catching fish, we're just having to work really hard and sometimes go long periods of time between bites. And the bites are usually only one at a time. You'll catch one here, then you'll go another 30 minutes, hour, and you'll catch another one. And that's just kind of how it is. You're having to hunt hard for them. And every once in a while, you'll get in a stretch that's got a little group, and you'll catch 3 or 4 or 5 in 30 minutes over an area, 45 minutes over an area. You'll get a little, almost a flurry, kind of a flurry. Not really. It's not really fast and fierce, but you'll catch some in a condensed area a little bit. But for the most part, they're really spread out. So that being said, it's a very challenging time of year if you don't know the lake really, really well and you're not staying on it all the time. Like if you're just a weekend guy that shows up and goes fishing, but it's hard right now. Like if you go out and catch you a solid limit, hey, you've done something right now. Like most people aren't going to do that don't have extreme knowledge of a lake or a lot of time on the lake recently. It's going to be challenging for those people to do it. I want to save the top baits and all that. We're going to talk about a lot of that going forward over the next week and a half on our other videos. So I want to save some of that for later videos if we can. But I will tell you, my best tools for me right now, and there's other baits that are going to come into play as we go forward, and there's some baits that are somewhat in play right now. But right now for me, just to give you guys a quick tip, if you're here at Lake Fork, a square bill, a light Texas rig, and yes, a drop shot. Now, my drop shot's not a drop shot, but a drop shot, a Texas rig, and square bill are my deal right now. That's my main things that I'm throwing. Square bill's good because it gets reaction bites from fish that are, you get more bites for more fish fishing reactive style baits versus a swim jig that you're just kind of they gotta chase it and eat it, or a swim bait. The square bill does a better job of getting reactions out of them, so I like a square bill this time of year. And then of course, Texas rigs and drop shots, we're flipping timber, picking area. Once we get in an area where we've got a bite or two, we'll really slow down and pick an area apart, pitch to every piece of wood in that area, whatever. Yeah. Somebody says power shot. Yeah, that's kind of what it is. It's basically, I'm throwing a heavy drop shot. I'm throwing a 3/8 ounce weight. I'm throwing it on 15-pound or 15-pound line, I think it is, fluorocarbon. I'm throwing like a 2/0 EWG hook, and I'm actually throwing a bait that I've never told y'all about. It is a grande bass, like 4 or 5 inch rattlesnake. I think that's what they call it. Grande bass rattlesnake, is that what they call it? It's just a little 4 or 5 inch bait that's like a ring bait. But that grande bass one has got a great action. And I've actually been using that bait since long time ago. And hey, the good thing about not being contractually obligated to sponsors anymore is I can tell you guys everything. In fact, in our top bait videos that are coming up, we're going to talk about some baits that I've fished for years that have been really good to me that we've never really discussed before. So we're gonna open up some new juice for you guys coming up soon right here on this channel. Let's get into the questions, man. You guys, hey, it's the time for the segment. Ask me anything. Ask me anything. That's the segment we're going to talk about. Grande bass rattlesnake and trophy hunter color, very good bait. I've been throwing it in black with blue flake on the overcast days, but trophy hunter color is probably my favorite overall color from grande bass. Frog. Somebody said something about frog. Dude, I'm not really throwing a frog. You know, the grass that is flooded, the fish, I don't feel like the fish can really get all the way inside it. They're just on the edge. So for that, instead of throwing a frog, I'm throwing, if I want to throw a topwater bait, I'm throwing like a yellow magic, throwing a popper. Or even a spook style bait, but I think the popper is better right now than the spook style bait. Anyone else check on Zach Watts? That's my buddy Zach Watts from his Tigers listen. So quick story about that. Zach was at that game. He actually went to the LSU game last night, and that was a crazy finish to a football game. If y'all didn't see it, it was an awesome game. Yeah, no, he's okay. He's hanging in there. It's just one game. It's a new coach. And to be honest, if you watch that football game, there was 4 really bad mistakes on special teams that cost LSU that game. And they were still only an extra point away from tying it and going in overtime. Like, they don't make those 4 just – they're kind of what I mean, in college, you know, you don't have scrimmages to get ready. So it's like that first game is always – a little bit of a roll of the dice. And so those are what I like to call first game mistakes in college. You know, a couple muff punt returns, a couple blocked extra point attempts or a blocked field goal or something like that. But that last one was a blocked extra point attempt. LSU will be fine. That new quarterback looks good. I think Florida State's a lot better than people think they are. And LSU probably, like I said, without those special team mistakes, I think they win that game. For sure, they're in control of that game. And I do think they would win it. So LSU's fine. Z's fine. He was a little mad last night, but I've been talking to him today. He's fine. Rig for plastics to fish around or on riprap. You know, on riprap, man, you can. I wouldn't go with a regular Texas rig. That one seems to kind of get lodged up in the crevices of the rocks a little more. But, you know, shaky head can be pretty good with the right shaky head. A drop shot can actually be really effective around rocks, especially those cylinder-weighted drop shots can be super effective around rocks. Man, I like throwing a jig on rocks. I'm going to be honest with you. I love, if I'm around rock versus a Texas rig, I'm probably going to pick up a jig. I think crawfish get on them rocks some, but whether it's crawfish on them or not, I've always had a good time and good success throwing jigs on rocks. North or south, is the north part dirtier than the south? The north part is dirtier than the south end of the lake, as you know, almost always. Almost 365 days a year, the north end of the lake is dirtier than the south end of the lake on Lake Fork. But I've been fishing mostly mid-lake north. For me, I mean, I'm fishing some down south, but I'm just looking for those unique stretches Creek channel swing banks. Oh, and I didn't even tell you guys the second one earlier is docks that have depth. So the docks that have a steeper sloping bank or the docks that have a creek swing close by have been key areas for me as well. And it's not just one dock. It's a whole stretch of docks. Like I said, these fish are spread out. So there's not any one like magic dock that I'm going to and getting bites off of. I'm going down a whole stretch of them wherever a creek, like I've got one stretch that's like a mile long that I'm fishing, or a half a mile. It's really long stretch of docks. But the main creek channel swings into it like 3 times on that stretch, and I'm just going down that whole stretch, fishing every dock and in between them and everything else. Aggies got the W. Yeah, they did. I'm a little worried about Haynes, man. Listen, I like Haynes. I've taken Haynes King's daddy fishing. Like John King, the head coach in Longview, is a friend of a friend, and I've had John King in my boat, and I'm an Aggie fan. I was born in Bryan, huge Aggie fan. So I'm pulling for Haynes King. But if I'm being honest, dude, he's making some mistakes that he's not going to be able to make at that level. Like, he's got some tightening up to do. He's got some work to do. But Jimbo Fisher's a heck of a quarterback developer. So we shall see. We shall see. I'm not giving up hope on that deal yet, that's for sure. I got faith in Jimbo. And I know Haynes is a great kid, comes from a great family, and he's a worker. So he'll probably get it figured out. What length of the leader or what? See, I don't know why it annoys me when people call it a leader on a drop shot. I mean, I guess it's a leader. It's really not a leader. It's like it's a long tag end is what it is. But the length between the hook and the weight on my drop shot is only about 6 inches. It's not much. It's not very long at all. Are buzz baits still good right now? So I was thinking about doing a top baits video tonight, but I'm going to do that later in the week. And I did have some baits pulled over here. And there is a buzz bait that I'm throwing a little bit right now. It's a little bitty white one, like a little 1/4 ounce with a small blade. There, right there, that one right there. Not getting a tremendous amount of bites on the top waters right now at the moment. It was a little better not too long ago, but not getting a tremendous amount of bites. What do I think of the Elite's 2023 schedule? Bassmaster Elite Series 2023 schedule. I did look at it the other day. I don't remember it very well. I mean, it's good. You know, they're going to some places they haven't been in a long time, and they're staying away from some places that they've been a lot. They've been to Lake Fork 4 years. Of course, you guys know I was disappointed that they weren't coming to Lake Fork. You know that I was. And we're all so self-absorbed in our own story, right? Like it's hard to be objective, and I'm aware that the odds of this are almost none. But, you know, there was so much nonsense and fallout this year from, I mean, the Bassmaster tournament this year and me making a video about it on the first day in a lot of ways changed my life. You know, and probably in the long run it'll be for the better. But in the short run, man, it sucked. And there was so much drama. And I mean, I was called out on their live coverage by one of their anglers and confronted by that same guy in a restaurant at the lake. And, you know, that's the reason. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. In my opinion, that's the reason I'm no longer working with the tackle company that I used to work with that I can't mention, or they'll try to sue me. When I saw that they weren't coming to Lake Fork, if I'm being just 100% honest with you guys, my first thought was, oh my God. Like, I just hope that everything that happened to me didn't have anything to do with them not coming to Lake Fork. And I get that that's a very self-absorbed way of thinking, but my first thought was, God, I hope that none of the crap that went on with me had anything to do with them not coming here. I don't think it did. I think what's going on there is they've been to Lake Fork 4 years in a row. And I did hear some rumblings from guys about the home field advantage for Lee, which doesn't make any sense to me because they had 2 events in a row that he didn't win. You know, like one of them he didn't even make the cut in. And the history of Bassmasters of guys on their home lakes is not always great, but he did win 2 in a row. I don't know. It could just be as simple as, and I'm sure if anybody asked anybody from Bassmaster, their answer would be, well, we just can't go to the same place every year, And there's some truth to that. It'll be interesting to see what Bass Pro Tour does, because now that Bassmaster isn't come here, Bass Pro Tour could come any time of year they wanted to, and they could have the show on the main stage. And I would love to see Bass Pro Tour come here with every fish counts in like May. And the weather could still work against them if you got like a sudden rise after the lake's been low. If it rose all of a sudden 2 or 3 feet in a week, that could make it a little tough on them. But if it rises in like March or April and floods all that grass that's on the bank, and then them suckers show up here about 3 or 4 weeks later, dude, with every fish counts, oh my gosh, and them guys can just go down the bank and like flip and frog and swim jig and catch them. Bro, it would be crazy to see that go down. So there could be some big weights in that deal. What's your general take on how the lake is setting up for Sealy? I know more information is coming this week and next. My opinion overall on how the lake's set up for the Sealy is it's very cool. Honestly, I think you guys are going to have fun at Sealy if you're fishing it. I think it would be a great year to fish it. And I think this is what you want for these type of events. I think it is anybody's ball game. Anybody's ball game. I mean, I caught a 9.7 pound fish, 24 and a half inches, pitching a creature bait to a stump in 5 to 6 foot of water near a bank where it transitioned like a steep sloping bank. Just in a do nothing pocket with a creek swing on it at the mouth and just flipping that timber, caught a fish that would win me a ton of freaking money in that event. I think with the fish getting shallow and scattering out, it adds a lot of randomness to it. It's wide open, dude. It's just about fishing. I mean, it's kind of, everybody's on an equal playing ground. We can all fish a Texas rig to some degree, right? We can all crank a square bill to some degree. We can all throw a spinnerbait up the shallow. And that's kind of the things that are going to play in that event. And we'll go into more detail about that in the other videos. But it's made it to where everybody's got a chance. And the entire lake is in play. You could roll up on the winning fish anywhere right now. I think that's awesome. To me, if I'm going into Sealy's, I know that if I just fish harder, more efficient, and cleaner than the other guys, I'm going to make some money. That's the deal. You just got to fish better than the other guys. And fish more fish, all those things. Fish harder, fish more efficient, fish cleaner, don't lose your fish, don't miss your bites. If you out execute the next guy, you're going to win. You're going to win some money in that deal. Who's going to win the overall thing is always in a big bass tournament. You got to get that bite. You got to have the luck, and then you got to do everything else right on top of it. A lot of luck in those big bass events. It's just the way they are. But I think it's cool, man. I think it's going to be a really fun, enjoyable event that everybody's going to catch some fish in. I don't think anybody's going to go out there and catch a whole bunch of fish, but I think everybody's going to get bit. Everybody's going to catch some awesome Lake Fork slot fish. And some guys are going to catch the right unders, and some guys are going to catch the right overs. So it's going to be a good time. Do I like KVD Tournament Series baits? They're okay. I mean, they're all right. Strike King makes some good baits. They do overall. The KVD series in particular, it's hard to argue against it because KVD, I think the 1.5, 2.5 they're good baits. That jerk bait, man, it's good. For the money, it's good. But if you want to talk about the best jerk bait, to me, you got to go to Mega Bass and Lucky Craft. Like, there's a reason those are more expensive. Like, they are good. I think they're just a little bit better. But if KVD's on the other end jerking on it, I'm pretty sure any jerkbait probably work because that boy can do it. So, I don't know, man. I haven't fished all of their stuff. I mean, that's the ones I fish have been the crankbaits and the jerkbaits. So I'm sure there's tons of other KVD. I'm not the biggest fan of their spinner baits. I think there's better spinner baits out there. I know he makes some spinner baits too. Could you see any big baits coming into rotation? Yeah, I think so, man. I think if you want to commit to that, I think there's some bites to be had on that, because there's plenty of good sized fish up shallow right now. It's very difficult for me on a guide trip to commit to throwing a big bait at a time when we're not getting just a tremendous amount of bites anyway. On one hand, you could say it's easier to commit to it at that time because you're not going to get any bites. You might as well try to get big ones. But, you just don't want to go zero on a guide trip. That just, you could talk all the good talk you want, talk to you guys about, listen, we're swinging for the fences, we're going to throw a big bait. And every once in a while, you'll have a customer that'll actually truly be okay with that. But that's once in a great blue moon. For the most part, guys want to get a bite. And you don't have to throw a big swim bait to get a big bite right now. We've proven that. But for a guy that wants to target a giant bass and wants to go throw a big swim bait, yeah. Like, if I was in the Sealy tournament coming up, for me personally, if I was just fishing for me, I would go out the first day and I'd throw that Texas rig all day long, light Texas rig and a drop shot, and I'd try to cash a couple checks and make sure I'm going to get my money back and maybe make a little bit. And once I had cashed a couple checks and made my money back, I would be really, really prone to pick up a big bait for the next 2 days and not throw anything else. Because I do believe that bite is there. There's bait shallow, big bait shallow, or big bass shallow. Anytime that's the case, you can get bit on big swim baits. So yes, I do think that big baits are in play right now. Anthony Carball says, man, I have always wanted to know how the hell do you get your boat pushed up into the corner like that? Brother, I'm just a trailer backing fool, man. I've been driving and backing trailers since before I had a license. And I'll just back it in there. That's how I do it. I come around. My driveway actually faces that way. And I come in my driveway and cut it all the way around the corner, right into that corner of the garage, and unhook her and fold the tongue and put the door down, man. Ronnie Scott says, awesome having you talk about other baits. Now we get the real night. Yeah, I mean, that is one of the good things about it. Like, I'm not contractually obligated to anybody. And it wasn't that I ever, outright, lied to you guys about stuff when I was. But it says in those contracts that you're not supposed to talk about other baits. Like, you're supposed to be exclusive to them, blah, blah, blah. And I had a couple of exceptions that I told them about going into. I said, listen, I'm not going to not talk about this. I'm not going to not talk about that. A great example would be like the Smash Tech worm. Like, when 6 Cents came out with their big worm, I was like, dude, I can't. This is I helped bring this big worm to market from Smash Tech. This is the one I throw. I believe in it. I love the way it's designed. I'm not going to change from that just because you came out with a big worm. And their big worm is much like the other big straight tail worms, and it's got salt in it. And one of the things that I'm a big believer in is no salt in those worms makes them get more bites. And to my knowledge, Smash Tech's big straight tail worm is the only one that doesn't have any salt. And that's why I love it. And I feel like it gets more bites. It definitely adds more buoyancy and more action, that's for sure. And it's, it's a relief on me, to be honest with you guys, to be able to sit here and talk about whatever I want to bait-wise. Well, I can talk about whatever I want to unless I'm talking about one of their baits. Because if I can't, it's kind of like, well, what's the golden rule? If you ain't got anything nice to say, don't say nothing at all. That's like the old rule, whatever they tell you when you're a kid. Well, that's the rule I have with 6 Cents. Because if I say anything negative about them at all, they send me, they sent me a letter a while back chastising me for talking bad about their stuff. Not anything that I was, they said I was lying about stuff, but they didn't have, I didn't lie about it. Everything I said was true, but somebody asked a question earlier. No, it doesn't mean you can't. You guys say whatever you want to. I can't control y'all. Somebody asked a question earlier about one of their baits, and I didn't answer it. And I apologize to whoever that was that asked about this bait, but I can't answer it because I got nothing good to say about it. Rocky Shoe, did I get sued over the broken rod video? No, but I got threatened to be sued. I mean, maybe they might be doing it right now for all I know, but I did get threatened to get sued over it. So I'm not saying anything bad about 6 Cents. They're within their rights to do whatever they got to do. Not trying to talk bad about them in any way. How long am I booked out? Hey, that's a good question. Speaking of, man, I've had, with everything that's gone on, as I've alluded to in the beginning of this video, my schedule has been an absolute moving target this year. Normally, I stay booked up 2 to 3 months out in advance. But because of everything that's gone on, I have had to reschedule dates that I had booked, and I've had new dates come open that I previously had planned for other things. So that being said, I have dates available much sooner than I usually do. In fact, as soon as right after the Big Bass Splash on that Tuesday, September 20th, I have an opening. I believe I have full day openings on the 20th, and I have half day openings open on the 22nd and 23rd of September, and then I think it skips forward to October. Now, I will tell you, in October, I want to say there was just a handful of days left for the whole month of October right now. Hang on just a second. Let me look real quick. I had it wrote down the other day. I can find it right in here somewhere. Yeah, so full day, I have October 4th and October 5th for full days. Half days in October, I have the 6th and the 7th. I also have a full day on September 26th as well. So if you guys are wanting a tournament prep for Berkeley, you're going to want to holler at me now, because I did make a post about this yesterday, and we always get messages and phone calls when I make posts about open dates. Or, yeah, yesterday I made a post about this. So give us a holler. You can reach us at yourlakefortguide.com. You can message us on Facebook, of course. You can text or call us at 903-519-1542 anytime. Yeah, September 21st, full day. 22nd, 23rd are half days. September 26th is a full day. October 4 and 5 is a full day. And then October 6th and 7th are half days. So just give us a holler. We'll get you straightened out. We'll get you on a guide trip. We'll go have a good time. How much am I selling my boat for this year? It should be for sale. The new one's supposed to come in December, January timeframe. I don't rightly know, but I think I'm going to sell it for around $65, which is usually what I sell them for. And from the last one I sold to this one, the price didn't change much. So it's going to be around $65, which is an awesome deal. That boat, when you order it brand new, is like 90 something, right at 90. That's a custom ordered boat, custom color, electronics out the wazoo, live scope 360, power poles, grass link, you name it, dude. It's got it all. So yeah, 65 for that boat is a smoking deal. Smoking deal. Lake Fork Marina is fully booked for Berkeley. Do I have any other recommendations to stay? God dang, there's so many places to stay around Lake Fork. Yeah, Lake Fork Marina being booked doesn't surprise me. It's the best lodging on the lake. Minnebucket's a popular one. You'd be better off to do a Google search than me just tell you. There's so many. There's a little guy down the road that has some cabins. I just like him. He's just a good man. And I don't know how his cabins are, so I've never even been inside of them. But TJ Ayers, Ayers Resort's what he calls it, but it's like they got a boat wash thing there, and he's got a few cabins. He's a great man. He's just a really nice guy. Then Burning Stump is another good one. Burning Stump, I know, is a really good one. 515 Cabins is right up there. It's a good one from what I hear. I haven't been in those either, but I hear they're good. But there's a few. But, I mean, dude, you could Google search it. I'll put it this way. I haven't heard any like horror stories about any of the lodging around Lake Fork. I stand by my statement that I think Lake Fork Marina offers the best lodging at Lake Fork, but I haven't heard any like real bad stories about any of them. So there's that. Charlie Robertson said, Charlie Robertson, what a great name. I hardly ever hear about the night bite on Lake Fork. What is night fishing like on Lake Fork? And Cody Mays, who does fish some at night, said it's been slower this year. Yeah, so I think what's going on there is the night bite's just gotten exposed. So the night bite was tremendous on Lake Fork. And people started putting in these green underwater lights, and it got better and better and better. And then it got more popular and popular. Now everybody started doing it. See, the thing back in the day was everybody fished during the day. Not a lot of people fished at night, so the night bite was just the deal, man, because the fish just weren't as pressured. And the lake was a lot quieter, and the fish just got more comfortable and seeing the bite better. Now there's a lot of people that fish at night. It's popular, just as popular as day fishing is in a lot of ways. So I think those fish have just gotten pressured like everything else, and it's just evolved, and now it's just kind of normal. Like it's still Lake Fork. You still have great days, and you still have tough days, and you still have a possibility of catching big fish on any cast, and your average size fish is unbelievable. And you know, it's still everything that Lake Fork is. It's just not substantially better than the day bite because there's a lot more people doing it now. Would be my opinion or my guess on that. I'm not a night fisherman. I don't really enjoy fishing at night very much. I know that a lot of people do. It's just not my thing. So everything that I'm telling you about night fishing is an assumption. And we know what happens when we assume, don't we, fellas? Yeah, and all the green lights are on the bank. Yeah, that probably makes night fishing a little tough when all the green lights are on dry land. I mean, not all of them. There's some, but. Lake Fork's in really, I mean, here's what's impressed me the most. The fish in Lake Fork are in such good shape. Typically, you get to this time of year and you catch so many fish that are skinny, poor looking, they don't fight much, they're just worn out from summer to Texas, it's hot, you know, all that, right? And there's some of that. Like, you'll see some skinny fish. But, man, these fish have stayed in remarkably good shape on average. Most of the fish you catch are still pretty darn thick. That freaking 9.5 pounder I caught the other day jumped like a tarpon, dude. Like 3 or 4 times at least. Like it came several feet out of the water. Like it was funny because it bit my bait, my Texas rig on the fall. Like, and I just pitched my Texas rig in there, strips in the line. I was talking to my customer behind me and just doing this, and then my line just started running away from me. So I reeled down, set the hook, and when I set the hook, I don't know if I had a lot of slack in my line or what, but the fish didn't really feel that heavy. It just kind of came up and at me. But then when it, like, I had no idea. I thought it was just another fish. That joker jumped, and I about crapped my pants. When it jumped at that 24.5-inch frame, 9-pounder, it got my attention at that point. I was like, oh, crap. Hey, customer, will you get the net, please? It was good. It was a wow moment for sure. How did Fork go to 9th, and why are the elites not coming back? So that Bassmaster Top 100 list has always been a farce. I hope you guys know that. Like, that Top 100 list has always been nonsense. Always. The rankings on there are 1,000% swayed by where they are going next year. Wherever they got some events coming up on, they rank those lakes. They give those lakes a little extra love in those rankings to try and hype them up for the people that are going to fish. Because what lake do you want to fish tournament on? Do you want to fish tournament on the best lake in the country? Or do you want to fish a lake on the 200th best lake in the country? Well, you want to fish on the best lake in the country. So they do give those lakes that they're going to the next year extra love. For sure. Here's what I don't understand on the Bassmaster schedule. I know what's going on. It's a business. It's a business. And it's a business that, let's be honest, with all the splits and ownership changes, everything that's gone on, changing of the industry from television money to online money, YouTube guys like Guggen Squad dudes taking a huge chunk of revenue out of the industry for themselves. Times are tight if you're owning a bass fishing tournament trail. Because the reality is, people can get their bass fishing fix from anywhere. From Guggen Squad, from Tactical Bassin, from Edwin Evers' YouTube channel, from me. You know, if you're regional and local and you like that better, that's your deal. Hey, there's some of y'all that you'd rather watch me fish on lakes around here, including Fort throughout the year, than watch Bassmaster fish on Cherokee Lake or, you know, wherever they are. Times are tough in the bass fishing industry. So what happens is, and I think they're making a mistake here, but they are favoring on their tournament trails people, you know, areas that'll pay them, it seems like, you know, or where they'll draw a bigger crowd at the event, right? You know, bass is big, you know, they feel like it's their big advantage is that they have an in-person weigh-in, an in-person event, expo, whatever you want to call it. They got the tents and the vendors, all that good stuff, right? So they feel like that's a big advantage to them that they have that. My personal opinion is that has become irrelevant at this point. Listen, unless it's the Bassmaster Classic, and even at the Classic, they say they have 100,000 people at the Classic. That's how many times the deal turns at the entrance to the expo. When I was there, I went through that 2 or 3 times a day. Okay? I'm just saying. They never have 100,000 people at an event. They don't. They don't. Okay? They don't ever have 100,000 people. Not even close. Not even close. Like, if they got 30 or 40,000 at a regular event, it would be, oh my God. Oh my, like it'd be the biggest crowd ever, right? They're worried about the exposure and the interaction and the revenue they can create from no more than 50,000 people when there is millions of people to be had on social media. I know I mentioned it, but you know, they're like the king of it. They're the biggest in the world in the fishing industry as far as eyeball time is the Guggen Squad. Look at the Guggen Squad. Look at how many views they get on a regular fishing video. It's a lot more than Bassmaster gets in person at their events. Yet Bass is still worried and feels like it's a huge credit to them that they have these people at these events. They are focusing, in my opinion, in the wrong area. I'm not qualified to run Bassmaster Trail or make those decisions. Just my opinion from an outsider looking in that has a little tiny sliver of experience. I have no knowledge in the grand scheme of things, but a little tiny sliver of experience in the social media aspect of it. Why in the hell are we going to Orange, Texas, to the Sabine River to watch guys grind for 1.5 pound to 2 pound fish? No bass fishing fan would rather watch that than watch Sam Rayburn. I'd rather see you go to Sam Rayburn. I'd rather see you go to OH Ivy. I'd rather see you go back to Falcon and see if you can do something down there. I'd dang sure rather see you go to Fork, Toledo Bend. I'd rather see you go to Lake Palestine. I'd rather see you go to Lake Texoma. I'd rather see you go to Lake Caddo. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on and on of the list of lakes that I would rather see the Bassmasters fish on than the Sabine River out of Orange, Texas. And the only Texas stop they're making this year, after all the talk about how Texas is the king of bass fishing from them over the last few years, and how the Texas tournaments are always the best viewing party as far as the fish catching goes, the only place they're going in Texas is Orange. They get the biggest crowds in Orange. They do. And I'm pretty sure that Orange, Texas is paying them some good money to show up there because they generate a lot of revenue when they get there. But they are missing the forest for the trees. Like, they're paying attention to this little hill over here, and there's a freaking mountain staring at them. and they're not even looking at it. I mean, they're glancing at it once in a while. I mean, they're posting, but they're not focusing on the big picture here, in my opinion. So, it's interesting to watch what's happened in the industry and watch what's continuing to happen in the industry. And I'm going to tell you, this isn't stopping. I mean, we're not at the peak of it. We're not at the precipice at all. Like, as time goes by, more and more dollars are going to shift to the social media side of things. You know, if I want to see Gerald Swindle fish and make jokes, I don't have to watch Bassmaster. I can watch it anytime, anywhere I want to, right here. I can watch Gerald Swindle on the water tomorrow while I'm on the water. I can listen to him cut up and watch him catch a fish every once in a while on his social media content. No problem. Brandon Palaniuk, if I want to go relive Brandon Palaniuk's, congrats on Angler of the Year, Brandon Palaniuk. That was an amazing accomplishment. If I want to watch Brandon Palaniuk's entire Angler of the Year run, start to finish, I can do that with no dollars or no eyeball time towards bass at all. I can go to Brandon Palaniuk's YouTube channel and watch him do everything from what many could argue a more interesting perspective, from his perspective, an insider's look behind the scenes in his camper with him at night. What's he thinking? How's he prepping? Also get the added exposure, getting to know his family and his friends a little bit, getting to know him better. And then I get to watch him on the water as well and watch all the fish catches and the highlights. I mean, I don't know where it's going to stop or where it's going to end up. What I do know is this, is there are many guys in this industry, many guys in this industry that do not fish a tournament at all, that have more marketing ability, more monetization ability, or making more money, and reaching a lot more people when it comes to the sport of bass fishing than the guys that do fish tournaments. It's shifted, man. It is extremely shifted. And they are still doing the same thing. Bass is still doing the same thing. I don't know. We'll see. Where would they stay at Ivy? I don't know. You talk about a place that would. Here's the deal. There's places for them to stay. Like there's rent houses. There's marinas that have lodging. I mean, guys, you're talking about 100 people. 120 if you add Bass's staff. Maybe 140. There's enough places around Ivy for people to stay, okay? Would you get a crowded Ivy? Nope. Sure wouldn't. You would not get a crowded Ivy. Agreed. 100% agreed. That doesn't matter anymore. Can you imagine how many people, if they announced they were going to go fish Lake OH Ivy in January, when all the giants get caught, can you imagine how many online views you would have? The entire world of bass fishing would pay attention to that live coverage. Because at any moment, somebody might catch a 15-pounder. I mean, that would be something to behold. Forget the crowd at the weigh-in. It should just be a nice thing that we have as an afterthought now. The focus should be on your online coverage. And here's the other thing. Forget live streaming on network television. That's cool. That is cool. But make it accessible to everyone at all times. It needs to be on YouTube. It needs to be on Facebook. It needs to be on TikTok. It needs to be on every platform you can. It needs to be live on all of them. If Bass wants to maximize their revenue, they should be their live stream should be accessible everywhere. It's too easy. I don't have to go to your website, Bass. I don't have to watch your content. I can watch a million other people catch fish anytime I want to. Anytime I want to. I can watch bass fishing. That's what they just don't seem to, the whole industry just doesn't seem to understand. Nobody has to pay attention to you anymore. They pay attention to a million other guys. They do not have to tune in to Fox Sports on Saturday morning and then not even see the end of the event. That's the other thing. They turn the live coverage off before the end of the event. Their Bass Track, if the tournament's close, Bass Track's not right. It's not telling you who the actual leader is until the weigh-in. In these days and times, when everybody has so many options to watch, you as a business owner better make it as easy as possible for the consumer to find your product. That is your job. Everybody that is big-time business guys through social media knows and understands and lives by the fact that you cannot force your customer to come see you. You have to make yourself available to him in every way possible. You need to do it in print, you need to do it in audio, you need to do it in visual, you need to do it live, you need to do it edited, you need to do everything. What? Because you don't know who's going to want what. Some guys are going to listen to you while they're driving down the road. Some guys are going to read when they get home from work. Some guys are going to watch their videos, their YouTube on their TV. Some guys are going to watch Facebook videos on TV now, on their TV in their house. You just can't have any disruption between you and the customer. You can't force them to find you. There's just too much other stuff that they'll find with whatever they like to use. So, I don't know. You know, who am I to tell them how to run their business? But I will tell you this. You go to OH Ivy with everything that's gone on the last couple of years, and you get some live coverage out there, people will find that. People will go find that. Somebody's asking, MLF goes out in heat, kind of, yeah. On the Bass Pro Tour, yeah, they go out in 40 and 40 or whatever they have now. I don't remember how many guys, but they split the field in half. And Group A fishes one day, and then Group B fishes the next. Then Group A fishes, then Group B fishes. Then they have a cut, and then whoever made the cut, they all fish. If somebody said something earlier about the challenge of live coverage at Ivy, buddy, if you've ever been to Toledo Bend, it ain't nothing worse than getting a cell phone signal at Toledo Bend. I'm just going to tell you that. And most of Rayburn, unless you're down by the dam, most of Rayburn, you don't have a cell phone signal at all. If they can do live coverage there, they can do it at Ivy. I'm pretty sure. Like, they have equipment that can get live coverage. Holy cow, it's getting late. I got to be up at 5 a.m. for a guide trip. You guys got me on my soapbox tonight, man. Hey, I'm glad to be back, man. I hope you guys enjoyed tonight. We're going to try to have a video ready for you Wednesday. I'm filming it Wednesday afternoon, so I'm not sure I'll get it out Wednesday night. But if not, stay tuned. It's coming. Don't forget Saturday live seminar. If you want a guide trip, holler at your boy. We'll get that going as well with those dates that we talked about. If you didn't catch those dates, man, just send us a message at yourlakefortguide.com or text or call us at 903-519-1542, and we will get you on the water with myself coming up soon. Got some late September and early to mid-October dates available. Thank you guys so much as always. Appreciate your patience while I've been gone. I look forward to helping you guys that are fishing Sealy's over the next week and a half, and look forward to hopefully here pretty soon getting back into somewhat more of a regular routine on posting and being able to help you guys on a day-to-day basis and getting some on-the-water content again. The last one we did was really good on Welsh. I think that was the last one we did. I don't remember now. It's been so long ago. But get some more on-the-water content and share the experience with you guys that I'm so fortunate to get to live every day. I mean, you know what I'm doing tomorrow? I'm going and taking some guys fishing on Lake Fork. You know how awesome that is? It's not lost on me, guys. I still understand and appreciate how awesome it is that I'm about to go fish Lake Fork tomorrow. And I'm going to do it again and again and again. So I can't thank y'all enough for being here and helping me make that happen, man. I owe it all to you guys. So thank y'all very much. We'll see you next time. Holy cow, we haven't done very many of these nights. Cheers, y'all. We'll see you next time right here on your Lake Fork Guide.